I'm I'm not seeing anything quite yet. I'm refreshing. Refresh, refresh. What was it? I don't see the oh, now I see it. Yeah.
Try it. Is this? Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you.
Thank you, One Day Zame. Hey, can you guys hear me now? I had an audio issue before, so let me know if you guys can hear me now. Have no sound.
I can hear you.
No sound.
Let's see. I just got it fixed now. My microphone isn't working. Is it still not working? Oh, you guys can hear me?
Are we good now?
Thumbs up? Guess we'll find out. Oh, awesome. Okay, they can hear us. Let me start over again then, you guys. Welcome once again to ejuices.com live. I'm here, Tina, the social media guru of ejuices.com, with my co-host, Beauty and the Vape, Christine. And we have a very special guest, you guys. We have Dave Goerlitz, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to you guys. Very passionate fellow, and he's going to tell you all about who he is, what he's done, where he's been, and where he's going. So take it away, Dave.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm here in the frozen tundra of New Jersey right now. We're dropping to about 12 degrees tonight. I know you're out on the West Coast, or you're in Vegas, or where exactly are you at, Tina?
I'm in Vegas, yes.
Okay, so you're nice and warm, toasty
nice and
out
toasty.
There, right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, we're freezing here, and I guess Christine's got some wind howling up in Connecticut. But be with you, folks. Yeah, I'm Dave Goerlitz. I am the former Winston Man. And for those of you who don't have a clue what that is, it's kind of like the Marlboro Man, with the exception of that I'm alive and the Marlboro Man's dead. So with those two kinds of unique differences, I'm allowed to be able to speak to you because I am alive and semi-well. I have been involved in the vaping community since 2008. When I was involved with the lawsuit against the FDA, I became passionate about vaping as an alternative to smoking because of my story. For those who don't know me or did not see A Billion Lives, A Billion Lives we'll talk about later. A Billion Lives was the documentary that was trying to open up the narrative as to what's going on in this country and globally with the haters of vaping because it's not financially rewarding as combustible tobacco. So it's a long, long story. The poor guy who did the documentary, Aaron Biebert, thought he'd have me on his film for about 3 minutes, but the guy came to my house, interviewed me, and I didn't stop talking for 8 hours. So out of 8 hours of interviewing me, he was able to extrapolate about 30 minutes for a 90-minute film. So I was pretty much featured in the documentary because of my history. For those who don't know, let me repeat, for 8 years I was the Winston Man. I was paid from 1981 to 1988 to make smoking look like one of the greatest things you could possibly choose to do as a teenager. I was paid to be the macho, rugged G.I. Joe action figure, climbing mountains, rappelling, flying helicopters, kind of like the Marlboro Man, except a different brand. I did the ads from 1981 to 1988 when I quit publicly, which kind of made history. It sort of ticked off R.J. Reynolds because they didn't know that their lead model was going to quit smoking publicly against a product that kills 400,000 people a year. So with that being said, I made some headlines. I became the golden boy for the anti-tobacco movement in 1988 and 89. Started to work for American Cancer, American Lung Association, American Heart Association, CDC, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, anybody that was against smoking, I became their resource as their golden boy because I was able to get the media because no one had ever turned his back on tobacco like I did, especially the lead model for the #2 selling brand of tobacco. So with that being said, I was on every news show, every TV show, because back then we didn't have internet, we didn't have social media. Everything had to be through normal channels of ABC, CBS, NBC, and I was doing a lot of talk radio, talk shows, and until the anti-tobacco movement took me under their wing, I spent almost 20 years going around to schools all over the world, literally trying to get kids to never start, which was my goal. And I wasn't an anti-smoking zealot. I just believe that if we can stop kids from smoking between 14 and 18 or 19, there's a good chance they won't start as a grown-up, which is, what's so ridiculous about the anti-tobacco movement. They think they've got a handle on teen smoking. 2018, we ain't got a clue. There's still about 18% of teens smoking combustible tobacco. Lo and behold, 2006, I started seeing that the anti-tobacco movement was as corrupt as big tobacco and big pharmaceuticals. They were all in cahoots with each other. They were all sleeping with each other, trying to, make sure that they had. Yeah, well, you go, wow. I said, wow, too, because I saw it, I lived it, and I breathed it. So basically, I don't want to drag this out because this could be a 10-hour show if you let me do a 10-hour show. But Christine knows me. I'm just going to tell it like it is. I was paid to get kids to smoke, okay? They paid me handsomely. I did it willingly because I happened to have been a smoker from the time I was 13. No one put a gun to my head. No one made me smoke, but I'll tell you what, it sure did make it look good in the advertisements, and I fell into that, so I drank the Kool-Aid. So I became the anti-tobacco activist that they wanted through the cancer, lung, and heart. And unfortunately, they became as corrupt as big tobacco, which in 2006, I gave them a pretty much screw you attitude. And vaping came along, and I said, well, I'm going to learn as much as I can about this alternative. Because I love the concept. I absolutely love the idea of having the e-cig, which I think is a stupid name, to be honest with you, because anything that's denotes cigarettes, it's still going to have a negative connotation. But you can't put toothpaste back in a tube, right? So we're stuck with e-cigs. It should have been called vaping from the beginning, and I don't think we would have had a lot of the problems that we have today. So the e-cig industry became involved pretty heavily around 2009 and 10, and then it took off like wildfire. And everybody started making juices, and everybody started coming up with the second generation of devices for, inhaling and for vaping. And then they started getting the box mods, and then we started getting all of the other, genuinely, really innovative devices that were starting to establish a culture. Then the culture was created around 2011 and 12, and that's when it really hit the fan, and in a good way for vaping, because here's a product that was invented by consumers. We got no help from the government. We didn't get a grant. We didn't get any supports. It was just smokers who decided that vaping was a better alternative to smoking. And by God, they're going to do it no matter what. And then the culture developed into what it is today, a multi-billion-dollar industry. We've got over 9 million smokers in America. We've got about 2 million smokers up north of us in Canada. We got global smokers in the millions, and now we found that vaping does do what it's supposed to do. Whether they like us saying it helped me quit smoking, screw them. I don't care. I'm going to say it. That's what's happening, and we got to stop playing nice with these legislators and lawmakers and lobbyists because they're screwing it up for the world. They just did it in Canada today with Bill 174. They passed it, and it really ticks me off because I'm actively involved in Canada. With ECTA and the CBA and the Quebec Vaping Association, and they're getting screwed. Yeah. They're worse off than we are right now in Ontario with what happened on 174. So anyway, long story short, I am the one that nobody wants to talk to. I'm the big stinky pink elephant in the room. It's there, but nobody knows if they should walk me or take me out or feed me or wash me because they don't know what to do. Christine will tell you. It took me about 7.5 years, and I have never made a dime. I've never made a dime in the vaping industry, nor have I ever been called by our vaping leaders, meaning CASA or SFATA or AVA or VTA because nobody knows what to do with me. Okay. And I take it personal, because I don't have the lawyer after my name and I don't have a PhD after my name, but I have 36 years of experience in tobacco in one way, shape, or form. And you'd think somebody would want to talk to me. Now, they all know me, they respect me, but it's just that nobody knows what to do with me, including Demetrius, and all of my friends that I have that run these organizations, like Greg Conley, great people, Julie and Alex, and Stefan out in California, and all the people that are involved, like Tony Aboud, that are really trying. I just think they've made some major mistakes, and they've really failed in many ways because we don't have that many wins under our belt for vapors. So I am the voice for a lot of people who feel how I feel. I'm just the one that's brave enough to say it, and that gets me in trouble sometimes, Tina.
Yeah. And no, I understand. I believe it. But, especially with everything that you were exposed to in that industry, it's like, yeah, it's not just experience as a vapor. It's not just going from Golden Boy cigarettes to Golden Boy for vaping. It's that you have seen everything in the industry happen in real time.
Right. And that's why I know that lobbying is important, but it's not the end all and be all to solving this problem. Okay. I've been saying this since 2013, and that is the script is already written. We're handing vaping back to big tobacco on a silver platter because we can't get along. We're self-imploding in many ways. We've got e-juices that are being manufactured that aren't coming from clean labs. They're not coming through the way they should be. We got so many CEOs now under the age of 22 who are making liquids next to the urinal, and putting a label on it and calling it premium, and I don't know how many ways you can have strawberry, changed. How many, you got 10,000 flavors of strawberry, we got 5,000 of grape, we got butterscotch. So I decided that I was going to watch what's going on in the industry in Europe and Canada and in the US. I know that I'm not real happy with the industry here, even though I respect and idolize some of the leaders, whether they were self-appointed, I don't know. But we got too many lawyers fighting with too many lobbyists, and they're all vying for the same dollars to run their organizations. And right now, the brick and mortar stores and the manufacturers are getting pretty ticked off that they're not seeing enough wins, either statewide or federally. So I understand the apathy. I really, really do. I understand. But apathy is totally different from empathy, okay? And if you know the difference between the two, apathy is where you just don't care. And right now, you got 2% of the vapors out there who are doing 100% of the advocacy work.
Yes.
So advocacy is a naughty word to me because when I look it up, I think advocacy means helping people who can't help themselves. Like if you're handicapped, you're an advocate for handicap parking and handicap accessories. Vapors can help themselves, and so can smokers. So the word advocacy is not a word I like to use. I like to use education.
Yeah.
I like the word changing the way we think about vaping. We need to educate the public because public perception is the only thing that's going to change the vaping. Politics is not going to change it because there's too much money already going into the pockets of big tobacco and big pharmaceuticals that are trying to kill the vaping industry, so it goes back into the hands of big tobacco, like Philip Morris, just putting $1 billion into the Smoke-Free World campaign that's being run by Derek Yack. $1 billion, and now you got the new ad campaign from Philip Morris and the tobacco industry that forced them to start running ads last weekend after Thanksgiving. But nobody's looking at the ads anymore. Wow, they're admitting that they lied all those years. They're admitting that they, so I'm saying the same thing that was said 30 years ago. I do feel vindicated finally. I feel like some of these women that have been accosted 30 years ago by some of our celebrities and politicians, and now after 30 years are coming out. I've been saying the same thing for 30 years, and nobody's been listening to me, or at least a very few people. And if you remember the movie, Tina, A Billion Lives?
Yeah.
When I said, nobody cares. Remember that part when I said nobody cared?
Yep.
That was kind of taken out of context because I was talking about cancer, lung, heart, societies. Those are the people who don't really care. Yep. There are certainly some people vaping who do care. There's no question about it. They work their butts off trying to be the 2 or 3% of the people fighting for the 97% who are sitting on their butts, having a strategy of, oh, gee, I hope we can fix this problem. Gee, I hope there are organizations and our consumer groups and CASA and SAFADA and ABA can fix these problems. Well, they're not going to fix them if people don't get off their butts and start coming in numbers and loud voices to make these people hear. And that's why they don't want to use me, because I don't have a filter on my mouth when I talk to the lawmakers who are bad people making bad laws. And that goes all the way up to the WHO. I don't know if you know the story about the World Health Organization. Last November, a year ago, I was on tour with A Billion Lives. We went to 7 countries. We left Chicago on November 5th. We were taking A Billion Lives on a 7-country tour. And our first stop was going to be New Delhi, India, because that's when the COP7 conference was happening in New Delhi. I got to Istanbul, and they wouldn't let me on the plane to go to New Delhi because the World Health Organization doesn't like me, because I sent the World Health Organization Medal of Honor they gave me back in 1998 and told Margaret Chen of the World Health Organization to shove it. And she didn't appreciate that, so they didn't want me into New Delhi.
They can do that? They can bar you from the country like that? That's crazy.
Yeah, I was stuck in Istanbul for 6 days with no visa. I couldn't leave the hotel room. And then the crew of A Billion Lives had to pick me up, and we went from, after I left the country, I was able to get out after 6 days, but I couldn't leave the hotel room. We went on to Budapest, Hungary, and then into Estonia, and then into Norway, and then finally into Berlin, Germany. So, yeah, I have a story to tell, and I'm kind of like the second most interesting guy in the world, right behind the sexiest guy, and that's what I'm going to go after on my own. And I got some surprises for you folks tonight too, as to what's happening with Dave Goerlitz. Awesome. And I'm gonna launch it tonight on your show, because no one really knows, other than what the David Goerlitz is in store for the rest of the world starting January 1st. So I'll be announcing it on your show tonight, Tina. But I wanted people to know who I am, and I just want to thank you for letting me be here to share my story. And I know it gets boring for a lot of people who do know me, because they've heard it over and over again, but I'm sorry, it's the way it is.
I could listen to it forever.
No, I'm mystified.
Like 10 million times.
But Christine, let me tell you something. You know me, Christine. Yeah. My story never changes. My story is consistent. No one can ever sue me for anything. Sure. The problem that I have with it is that, and I think Tina should know this because we need to talk about it, A Billion Lives, the only good it really did was bring people like you and me together, okay? Yeah. Because less than 2% of the vapors in the United States saw A Billion Lives. Less than 2%. And that's worldwide, crazy. Only a million people worldwide saw that. We got 9 million vapors right here in the United States. We couldn't get, 8,900,000 vapors to go see it and spend $12, So it's kind of discouraging that Aaron did this. And so I don't mind repeating my story to the remaining 42 million smokers we have in the U.S., remaining 4 smokers we have in Canada, and the remaining 60 million we have globally in Europe and in Malaysia and Indonesia and South America. So my work is not done. I'm just starting, and I'm an old man. I got my grandkids here with me tonight. I've got 6 granddaughters, and I've got another one on the way, and I got 2 great grandkids. But I'll tell you what, I am not your typical great grandpa, and I'm going to continue to do what I do and say what I feel, because no one can take away the truth. Now, everybody else is just speculating or supposing this. I can tell you from my lips to your ears, what's going on is corrupt, it's criminal, and the anti-tobacco movement is complicit in helping people die prematurely. And they need to be held accountable, and no more free passes are coming from me to these people publicly, and I will get right to their face and tell them, including your senator, Richard Blumenthal, that guy up there, Christine, with you, and Dickie Blumenthal, and all of the other people that are out there, and all that. And I don't want to say Democrat only. There are some Republicans, but we've got to stop giving free passes and stay out of jail free cards to people who are making bad laws based on junk science, based on cherry picking what's going to help them beneficially at the fiscal troughs of finances where they're getting their money. And I'm just going to say it like I can, because, guys, I am above the opinions that other people have of me. I could care less what anybody thinks of David Goerlitz, because I've lived it, I've done it, I've been doing it since I was 31 years of age, and I've been smoking since I was 13. So nobody knows as much about tobacco as I do, and nobody knows about people like I do in the tobacco business.
Yep.
Well, first of all,
if you guys want to see, oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, if you guys want to see David's story, I was able to take his story at Foxwoods. So if you go to the Very Vocal Vapors YouTube channel, his story is up there, so you can, you know, hear it from the horse's mouth. Go ahead, Tina. And
if you guys haven't seen, you know, A Billion Lives, I see in the chat they're talking about it. It's on Amazon. So if you guys are watching this, make sure to check it out. It's an awesome documentary. First of all, Dave, I'd like to commend you and say I think it's amazing that you made this journey from this titan of an organization, you know, of an industry, especially in the 80s when like everybody was just like chugging coffee and smoking cigarettes, and that's like how life was. That you made that jump, and then you watched kind of the corruption there, and now you're on board with, you know, vaping and really trying to get people involved. And we're thrilled to have you here and to have you announcing whatever you plan on announcing on our show. We're honored and thrilled to have you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for using our show as a platform for whatever news you have, because we're all ready and willing to hear it. And yeah, I think that everyone can commend you for the jump that you made from an industry like that in its heyday, if you will, to an industry like vaping, which is more of an uphill battle. So definitely.
Well, at this point in my life, you have to understand, I come from a different demographic than you do. Okay. Yeah. And I go to a lot of conventions where you go to the booths and you see all these young, you know, 20, 21-year-old cloud chasers, and, you know, yeah. And that's fine. I have my tattoos, you know, it's a different demographic for me. I'm after the 40 to 70-year-old smoker who's been smoking since they were teenagers.
Set in their ways.
They really want to quit. They want to quit. And now we have something that has a alternative benefits, and people are taking it away, and they don't understand why. They're being told that vaping is just as bad as smoking, and that's just pure bullcrap. Yeah. Okay.
Fake news.
Like stillblowingsmoke.org, right? Like, yeah. How beautifully crafted is that website?
Yeah, but see, I can stand up to people like Stanton Glantz, and I can stand up to people like Richard Blumenthal and Sherrod Brown and the mayors in San Francisco who are trying to take flavors away. I can stand up to the Catherine Wynns in Canada and Ontario, who's the premier there, who's trying to take vaping away and decimate the industry, and then just have the wide open door for cannabis to hit as of July 1st up in Canada legally through the country. I mean, I know what's going on behind the scenes, okay? Yeah. There's nothing transparent about these people, okay? They have hidden meetings behind closed doors. I know who they are. I'll name their names. I know exactly what they're doing to keep their fiscal interest at the financial trough. They want to be first in line because big dogs eat first, okay? And every major juice line that you represent or you know about out in your area, every major juice line thinks they have the best juice. They think they have the best quality. It's coming from the cleanest labs. It has zero particulates or any detectable, diacetyl or diacetyl or all the other garbage that people are using as fear mongering for the popcorn lung thing and the formaldehydes and the nickel and the cadmium. So I want to be able to do my own show, okay, with people like you, with people like Christine. Christine and I have been talking about this a long time, but I don't have the money for the equipment to do it the right way. I'm not Demetrius, and I'm not Phil, I'm not Bill Tarling, and I adore these people. I think they're all fantastic, especially Demetrius, who was starting the Smoke Free Radio a long time ago. Okay. I've got some things that I'm going to be doing in Europe and in Canada and the US on the radio and on shows, which I'm going to be announcing later. My buddy Kevin Crowley, who's I don't do anything without Kevin Crowley, he's kind of like my Wikipedia guy. If there's anything that anybody wants anything about me that they want to know about, he's my library. He's become my go-to guy for everything, even though we don't talk a lot, because this is happening too slow for me, but I'm going to make it happen in 2018. Things are really going to happen. Just so you know, I'm going to announce it right now. I've got 3 new flavors of e-liquid, the David G Signature Series, that'll be coming out as of January 1st in the United States.
Fantastic.
It'll be coming out January 1st, and I'm looking for wholesalers and distributors. And the David G Signature Series, it's going to be to my liking. It's going to be tested the way I want, and it's going to be certified. I've got 3 flavors in Canada that'll be coming from the Vape Fluid Industries, which are made now and ready to be launched in Canada and in Europe and in Sweden. I'm going to start with 6, and we're going to see where it goes. I want a tobacco flavor, so the people who are transitioning from smoking to starter kits are going to be able to get, a similar feeling to vaping instead of just going right into the sweetness of the berries and the flavors and the butterscotch and the mints I want them to be able to have a nice transition. I'm going to come up with a new pod system. I'll tell you that story too. You ever hear of Von Earl?
Yes, we have. Very familiar with Von Earl.
Well, I was their brand ambassador. I signed on with them in February and March, and I did their ads. Lo and behold, they went up and sold the Imperial Tobacco in July, and they threw me under the bus because they're negotiating with Big Tobacco. Didn't tell me. So
I was like getting so excited. I was getting all like ready to be like, yes.
No, not a good story.
Man.
Christine can tell you that story, but the deal is I finally got my images removed from their website this last week because they threw me under the bus, and they said they didn't do it maliciously. They just thought it was good business to sell to Imperial Tobacco. And guess which brand of cigarettes Imperial Tobacco now owns? Winston.
Oh.
So you talk about the double whammy for me.
I think that's right here.
That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. Okay. So now I'm looking for a new pod device that I can a disposable pod device that's affordable for a smoker who wants to transition over. And I'm looking at 4 or 5 right now. And I really think I've honed in on the one that I want. It's going to be a disposable pod system. It's going to be my own brand, and I'm going to start selling it. So anybody that's interested in working with me and the group of people, I want to work with you too. I want to help your show get going, and I want to be able to be a contributor to your show. And Christine, she knows my heart. I'm in it for the long haul. So I am announcing on your show tonight that I have 3 flavors that have already been tested, proven, ready to go. And we're just doing the final paperwork. So January 2018, the David G Signature Series of e-fluids are going to be out there in the United States and in Canada. So
that's amazing. Thank you so much for announcing that here on our show, Dave. Awesome. Like I said, it's our 4th show, so we're honored to have you, first of all. But for you to announce that, we're so excited. I mean, wow, that's amazing. And congratulations on getting those ready and up and going.
I would like my signature series of fluids to be a sponsor for your show down the road in the next, 60, 90 days. So I'll have my people get to your people. How's that?
No, of course. Dave, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's
pleasure. So
amazing. We're so happy.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now,
anyway, that's my story, Tina. We can go anywhere you want now with this because everybody knows who I am for the most part. Like I said, I could make this a 10-hour show. But go see it live if you haven't seen it, or at least start listening to your show, because I'll be contributing a lot more along with Kevin Crowley, my buddy up in Ohio.
I mean, listen, I'm mystified. I've been listening since the show started, and honestly, I'm captivated. This is amazing for me to hear.
Good.
So for everybody who is now, if you guys popped in kind of late, this is Dave Goerlitz, and he is the star of A Billion Lives and was the old Winston man from the 80s, the cigarette guy Winston, kind of like the Marlboro man, different brand. We have him on here. He just announced that he'll be releasing 3 flavors from his line, so we're excited. This is the first place that he's announcing this, and we're so happy to have him here. So we are going to get back into a couple of questions about the work that you've been doing and kind of the direction that you're going in, which we just chatted about. But we do want to make our show a little bit different than all the other shows. So me and Christine like to have fun. And first of all, for all of you guys who are watching, we have a giveaway going on right now. So if you are just now logging on or tuning in, or if you've been here for the past 20 or 30 minutes, we have a giveaway at the bottom of the screen. There's a link. Go ahead and click it. And if you enter at the before we end the show, I will be randomly selecting someone, and the winner will receive a $25 gift card to our website for e-juices or e-liquid, whatever you guys want of your choice. And so we do have a couple of questions for you. Now, we've gotten to know the Dave Goerlitz who is on A Billion Lives and was the Winston Man, and everything that you just said about the work that you're so passionate about. But we also want to know some fun stuff. We want to get to know you a little bit deeper as a person. So Christine and I have come up with a couple of questions. They're fun stuff, so that people can know the man behind the documentary and the man behind the Winston ad. So without further ado, Christine, if you'd like to get us started on some of these really fun questions.
I've been waiting for this
I'm so excited.
I've been waiting for this all week.
Yes.
David and I have had dinner many times, so I do know a little bit more, but these were cool questions that I was just like, okay, yeah, we got him here. Let's see how honest he is.
So just to warn you, they're silly. We're gonna get back into the deeper, the meatier questions towards the end, but we have to ask these. So
okay, so Dave, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Spaghetti.
Oh, after my own heart.
Why spaghetti?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because it's filling. It smells great. I have a great sense of smell. I don't have a really good sense of taste anymore because I had a stroke in 1984. And I don't know if Christine knows this, but I have no taste of food. Okay. So I like food that has a good aroma to it. And Italian, of course, has the garlic and the spices. So, and I've always liked biscottis, as I grew up. It's a frugal food. It's very economic. You can have as much as you want. My dad was a Baptist preacher, so we never had a lot of money. So pasta was a big deal in my family. It showed up on my hips later on in my, well, in high school years. I was 256 pounds when I was in 9th grade. I was a little fat kid. And so pasta was good, but then I got back on my diet and lost a lot of weight, became a model, and the rest
what
is
a
history.
Story there. Like that in itself is, without everything that comes after that in itself, is an amazing story.
But there's a reason why I like spaghetti, and that's it, because it smells good, it fills me up, it's economical. Like I said, I've got 6 granddaughters, I got 3 kids, I got 2 great grandkids, I got another one on the way. And every Christmas I do an Italian dinner. I've been doing it for 20 years, where I have a whole family here, and I cook, all the lasagnas and the spaghetti and the manicotti. So when I say spaghetti, I also mean Italian food too. That's my favorite.
Are you Italian? Are you Italian?
No, I'm German. Full-blooded German.
Okay. I'm Italian, man, after my own heart.
I'm a split.
Yeah.
I'm Greek Irish. I'm a hybrid, so I kind of got the northern and a little bit of the southern going on, so it gets confusing sometimes.
But so I would say, Christine, the answer to your question is spaghetti or Italian food is what I would eat for the rest of my life if I had a choice.
Smart man.
Smart.
That would be my choice too.
All right, Dave. Now my question: what is your spirit animal and why? And viewers, if you guys have a spirit animal, yeah, if you had to pick an animal that you felt embodied you as a person, what would it be?
I would have to say a horse, a stallion. You back me in a corner, I fight. You back a loose stallion, a wild horse in the corner. You see them rear up on their hind legs, and they don't take anything from anybody, and they want to break out, and they want to be seen, not for the reasons that they have an ego, but they just want to be free to do what they have to do, and that is run wild and free. I got married as a young man. I was 20 years old, and my wife and I will be married 48 years in May.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. And but she knows my spirit. She knows that I'm free-spirited. I do what I want when I want, but I also know when to behave. I know when to have a filter on my mouth. I know when you put a bit in my mouth and you try to put a harness on me, it's not going to work out so good.
You're going to get bucked.
A big wild stallion horse is my spirit animal, I would think.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's nice.
I like that.
Oh, let's see. And everyone in chat is also answering.
Yes,
these
I love it. Guys, if you're listening to this, if you're hearing these questions, I want to know what your guys' spirit animals, and if you had to eat something for the rest of your lives. A sloth. Oh, girl, me too. I know I said llama, but me too on the sloth.
I can relate to a sloth. Okay, Dave. So if you had 1 hour to talk to somebody living or dead, celebrity, loved one, etc., who would it be and why?
1 hour to talk to somebody?
Yes.
Probably my father. And I know that sounds a little hokey, but my dad was, like I said, he was a Baptist preacher. And my dad was one of these people that walked the walk. He would never go up to people and accost them with the Bible, and he wasn't hellfire and brimstone. He wouldn't call you a sinner. He wouldn't judge you. He wouldn't offer you his opinion, his moral indignation if you were a drinker or a smoker or a fornicator or a thief or a criminal. He just loved people, you know. He was the kind of guy that raised me to be the stallion that I am. Fight for what you believe in. Do what it is that you do best, whatever it is. You don't have to be the richest. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the best athlete. But whoever you are, make sure you do it with integrity and make sure you stand firm for what you believe and don't let anybody take that away from you. I lost my dad about, I would say 10 years ago. And as a preacher, he had more time to help people. And we saw, I didn't like it very much growing up because we were always like the fifth wheel. His parishioners always seemed to come first, you know, and his flock, you know, because they needed him so much as for a spiritual advisor. We spent a lot of time with people in the nursing homes and hospice and people who were hurting and sadness and deaths in the family and loneliness. He was just a compassionate man. I have that from him. And I would like to let him know how I am today because once I did the Winston ads, he was really, really proud of me. He used to carry one of my Winston ads in his wallet and he'd show it to everybody that he would meet, that this is my boy, this is my boy. But I'd like him to see that I'm true to what he wanted me to become. And if I had 1 hour to relive with him all the things that I've been able to accomplish, which is not financial. I'm not a rich man, you know. I struggle. You know, my wife and I live on Social Security. We do very little outside of the home other than raise our families. So I think I've stayed true to what he would expect of me. So 1 hour would be probably a good enough amount of time for me to get a little bit more advice from him and a little pat on the back, because pats on the back only are important coming from my dad and my mom, you know, and my family. That's what's most important to me.
That makes sense.
He was the patriarch. He was my pater, and he's the one that I would spend more time with and try to share with him where I'm at now at this stage of my life. Because I am now, I'll be 68 in April, you know, and I'm on the downside of this life. And to be able to repeat what I said before, that you reach a point with a gift, and that is, I am above the opinion that other people have of me. So, you know, it's a good, really good place to be at 68 years of age. And my family knows where my heart is, and they know I love them, and I'm here for them, and they're here for me, and I did what I was supposed to do. And I would like to continue my legacy, and that is to pay it forward and get smokers who I helped get started back in the 80s to now find a way to transition, because they really do want to quit. They really should quit. They really have to find a way to quit. And I want to be the lightning rod for them to really go for it and not believe all the lies that are coming from the government and the tobacco people and the people who hate vaping because they're not making money out of it. So that's a long answer to a short question. But
it's a beautiful answer. I thought
we should have done a rapid round.
I know,
that was great. That was great.
I loved it. So I got another one for you, Dave. What do you do on your off time to unwind? Hobbies?
Well, I used to be a skier. I used to do stunts. I used to be a stuntman. I used to be pretty active on the slopes, water ski, snow ski. I was never good at basketball or the team sports, because in high school, when you learn those things, I was kind of a hefty little child at 256 pounds. When you play basketball, you have to be coordinated. You have to know how to run and dribble at the same time. I could not do that. Football, I wasn't fast. I was just big. So I started doing individual sports like skiing. So, but that all got taken away from me when I got hit by a tractor trailer in 2010.
Oh my God.
And from that, I've had 4 cervical spine surgeries. I've had a shoulder replacement. And so I'm done with the sports because I don't have it in my neck. I have fusion in my neck, and I had an artificial disc, and I had a replacement on my shoulder 2 years ago in December. So I'm pretty much done with those activities. But for fun, I'm a family man. I watch my granddaughter. I've been raising her since she was 3 months old, and she's now 4.
Wow.
My daughter's a mortician, so she's on call a lot because people just die whenever they damn well please.
I guess
they don't
so.
call. Or,
How dare they?
and my wife just retired, so we're pretty family oriented. Everything we do is we're all together, nearby. I have one granddaughter that lives in Georgia, but everybody else is either within an hour or 2 from here. So we spend a lot of time together as a family. So for fun, my family is my fun, and I do travel with the vaping thing once in a while. I'll go do advocacy panels at conventions, and I'll get invited to be kind of like the pole dancer, the entertainment at conventions, because I have a little bit of celebrity. But now I'll be able to go with a e-liquid line that I'll be able to promote and get into the hands of the people who are my demographic, which are the people who I want to see transition over. So that's going to be fun for me as well. So hopefully I'll be able to travel a little bit more in 2018.
That's awesome.
Now that my wife's home and retired and can take care of the babies, the grandkids.
Oh, it's amazing. It sounds like you're very family-oriented, family-focused. I hear that with the pasta and the big family meals. And that's great. That's great.
We're very close, very close.
That's amazing.
And I'll get to, it sounds like I'll get to spend more time with David in 2018. So I'm excited.
Yes, you are, because I'm going to start making a couple bucks so I can travel. Hopefully I'll be able to make a living and add to my Social Security. Plus, be able to now get people really, I'll do it myself. I'll do my own show. I got my buddy up in Canada that I'm going to do a show with. I'd like to do a show with you, Christine. I'd like to be able to do, consistent work with you to get your following, because this is not just about me and my story. This is about me, trying to demyth all the lies that have been thrown at us for years. We don't have enough wins under our belt in the vaping industry. And that's no indictment against SFATA or CASAT or the VTA or the AVA or not blowing smoke. They just haven't done what I suggested they do a couple years ago and stop playing like it's middle school. This is not middle school. This is not a sandbox fight. This is a fight to the finish. And if we don't get louder and stronger and more aggressive, and I call for civil disobedience once in a while, you're damn straight I do, because you're not going to get people to behave when they have so many constituents that they have been filling their pockets with money, and so many favors, political favors from pharmaceuticals and big tobacco. Big tobacco companies are very, very powerful. Big tobacco, big pharmaceuticals. Did you know that every senator and every congressman in this country, there's 22 lobbyists going after them for their consideration?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
22 lobbyists to every senator and congressperson in our government. So they're getting a lot of money coming through under the table. And if you go into these closed door meetings, you know what's going on. And I'm telling you, don't think for 1 minute, gang, that big tobacco couldn't have come up with vaping 15 years ago if they wanted to. Don't think for a minute that they can't make e-liquids for their devices that they could make, and make them half the price of what we're selling our devices for, whether they're box mods or whether they're closed units or closed end pod system. They could have done that 15 years ago. What are they doing? They're waiting for us to make all the mistakes so they can come in with their white horse, like the knights in shining armor, to say, hey, well, we've admitted our mistakes by the ads that they're now forced to pay. Do you know what I'm talking about, Christine? No. The ads that they have to run. Mm-hmm. And it's all phony. It's all fake. They caught in racketeering in 2006. And Gladys Kessler ruled that they will pay millions of dollars. So what are they doing? They're running ads on a couple TV shows. Nobody's watching TV anymore. They're watching Netflix. They're streaming. They're doing other things. Right. Nobody reads the newspapers. They have to run in New York Times and Los Angeles Times. Nobody's reading their papers. So they know exactly what they're doing. They're getting a slap on the wrist. And just like the master settlement agreement of $246 billion in 1999, Tina, if you know what I'm talking about, the MSA.
Yeah, to a degree. I was still pretty pretty small in 99, but.
Yeah, I'm just saying they're getting away with this. And right now, big tobacco, big pharma, and the anti-tobacco movement, including American Lung, American Cancer, American Heart, CDC, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, they are all in this together, okay? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. If you don't think for a minute that we have an alternative to smoking, which we've watched 9 million smokers quit or transition down to where they may be dual users, but every cigarette they don't smoke, they're better off, okay? You would think that these people, if they were truly in the business of trying to get people to quit smoking, they would embrace vaping, 5-6 years ago, especially with the science that we have and all the knowledge that we have.
It's pretty ingenious, though. Like you said, they're waiting for everyone to make the mistakes. It's ingenious. They don't really have to do anything. They don't have to do any work. It's less money. It's less work on their end.
Now they got the heat not burn, and now they got Scott Gottlieb, the new FDA director, is looking for ways to reduce nicotine so it's not quite as addictive. And we see the same thing with OxyContin now. The opiate problem we have here, they're trying to cut everybody on their OxyContin, oxycodone, or whatever they're taking, because it's such a rampant epidemic. They're going from 30 to 50 milligrams 4 times a day down to 20. They're cutting it now with Xtampza or Nucynta or other devices of pharmaceuticals that aren't quite as addictive, so you don't have that quality, but you don't also have the active ingredient where you're going to get that hit of what OxyContin does to you and Percocets and all that other stuff. So it's the same thing. You're not going to have smokers continue to smoke if they reduce the amount of nicotine, because most people smoke because they're addicted to nicotine, which is like caffeine. You tell me to give up caffeine, I'm going to fight it. You keep cutting my coffee with decaffeinated, it ain't going to work for me. It's the same thing with nicotine. So all they're doing right now, gang, is they're doing everything under the guise that it's for public health, or it's under the guise for the children. Oh, bite me. You know what? It's not, keep using the children. Keep bringing the children out. The children. We still have 18 to 20% of middle and high school kids smoking cigarettes, okay? They're not vaping, and if they are, they're just vaping it, zero nicotine for shits and giggles, pardon my French. But that's basically why they're doing it, because it's a fad. Now, they say that their failure in tobacco control and getting kids to not smoke anymore, they're blaming their failure on vaping, that we renormalize smoking and we're giving them the gateway. It's all lies. It's a bunch of bunk. Yeah. No, it's not true. So I want to be the one. I want to be the one to go to these hearings and say that, okay? But nobody wants me to go to these hearings because they're afraid of what I'm going to say and who I'm going to embarrass, okay? Well, I don't care who I embarrass if they're doing something that I feel is wrong and I know is wrong based on my own research. If the Royal College of Physicians in the United Kingdom says vaping is better than smoking, we recommend it, you would think that our government would listen to a bunch of physicians and scientists who say that. But no, we have to come out and try to ban it in Canada and in the United States, or tax the hell out of it to where it's no longer affordable. So I'm pretty tired of it.
I believe it. And, it's interesting. I've even noticed in my own sphere because, in my generation, especially in the past 10 years, it's been very anti-smoking as far as commercials. It's like, let's be the generation that kills smoking, But I've noticed a return of kind of like cigarettes coming back into even like my own pop culture sphere, like the Kardashians doing photo shoots with cigarettes and stuff. And it's like they're sneaky because they're using social media. They're not putting it outright in, TV or like a place that it would have to be cleared. But on Instagram or, websites like that, anybody can post a picture of them smoking a cigarette. Doesn't matter if they're a celebrity. There's no laws against that. And I think that that's interesting that this push in this sneaky way is coming back that I haven't seen in the past few years myself. Because pretty much since I'd say like 2006-ish, it's been anti-smoking in my sphere that I see when I'm on my Facebook page or whatever. So, the failure of tobacco control, guys and ladies, is the fact that
now they got this big push for tobacco 21. They're trying to raise the age to smoke from 21. Well, hell's bells. We got 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds still smoking when the age was 18. So they were still able to get it when we had the 18 laws. Why not make it 40? Or why? I tell you what, why don't we just ban tobacco altogether? How about that? But nobody wants to hear that one. Nobody wants to discuss that as an option or alternative. We did it with asbestos. You got rid of it. So we know why. We know the reasons and the politics behind it. It makes so much money in our country for our pharmaceutical companies because, you know what? There is no profit in good health. The only profit for the pharmaceutical companies is bad health. So they don't really want people to quit smoking. They just want to be able to control it under the guise of getting more and more funding, more and more tax dollars, and now putting the burden on the smokers who are the ones who at least can afford to smoke. And now we got something that'll help them quit or help them cut down, and they're taking it away. They're making it difficult. They're making them fearful. They're making them realize that this is as bad as smoking when it's just the biggest bunch of lies. How do you take the comparison of 5 ingredients in e-liquid versus 4,762? So, you're getting me started, Tina. Okay, you're getting me on this.
I think we're kind of off topic, guys.
I know.
I need like a stop sign.
That's okay.
I need a stop sign.
Listen, we'll recenter it. Listen, I think that it's okay. We'll recenter it. We've got some more silly questions. So stop it.
Get that out of your head. I have a good question, but I just wanted to say, at the beginning of that little, segment there, David was talking about, raising enough money to help others and everything like that. I have to tell you, I talked to David about a year ago when I started the Very Vocal Vapors mission, and we talked about working together, but I'm broke. He's broke, but he told me, he's like, we will do something. This man is a man of his word. So I just want everybody to know that if you think he's full of shit or whatever, then you need to rethink our friendship right here, because I know this man. He's a man of his word. He's amazing.
Well, when you have, we're not going to get off topic because this is a part of the program. But when you have SFATA and CASA, and you have the VTA and the AVA and the MBS, and now I'm a board member for Tobacco Harm Reduction for Life with Kevin Price and Lindsay Stroud and Skip Murray and Kevin Crowley, because I believe in tobacco harm reduction. I believe in anything that's considered THR, tobacco harm reduction. I don't care if it's snus. I don't care, whatever it is that gets people off of combustible tobacco, because as Dave Sweener said in the movie, it's not the smoke. It's not the nicotine. It's the smoke. It's the burning that's doing the harm. Okay. So even with the cannabis and the CBD that's coming on like wildfire right now in this country, and it's the CBD and cannabis, if people are vaping it, that's another story. So, and I don't have a problem with it. So what I'm saying is that when I'm a man of my word, I am a man of my word, but I'm going to do it right the first time. I'm not going to go in there and sign on with somebody and just sell the hell out of a premium liquid so I can get my name on something. It's going to be my choice. It's going to be tested to my qualities. It's going to meet my criteria. It's not going to have any artificial sweeteners. It's not going to have all the crap in it that's going to do harm. It's going to be as clean as possible for whatever people want to use it for. Now, if somebody along the line wants to start blowing clouds and they want 70-30 VG, or they want 50-50, whatever they want to do, that's up to them. But as long as they're not smoking, and I believe that my research has been proven enough to me that it is 95% safer, maybe even more than smoking combustible tobacco. So, yeah, I'm going to do it right the first time. In 2018 is going to be my year, so I'm going to be looking for vendors and sponsors to help me, help them, and we're going to get my name out there a lot more. I'm going to not only do magazine articles. I just did Vaping Magazine. You haven't seen it yet. It's coming out. It's a 6-page story about me.
Awesome.
But I don't know who's reading Vaping Magazine. I don't know who's reading Vape Magazine or Vaping Advocate or Can America, the cannabis magazine. I don't know who's reading these things, but I'm in them. But I think we're preaching to the choir now. We need to go outside that circle and reach 42 million remaining American smokers who are ready to quit. And when they are ready, we'll have something that's going to be affordable They don't want to be an engineer from the time they stop smoking and then have to build coils and, change the wicks and change the cotton. And they just want to quit smoking and find something with a hand to mouth and that's going to be pleasurable and it's going to make a nice, easy transition, and also realize that they'll see good health benefits from it almost immediately.
And and like I said, we're so happy to have you announce that on this show here. Amen. For all of you guys who are just bopping in right now, or if you came in halfway through the show, I am here with Beauty and the Vape, aka Christine, my lovely co-host, and we have Dave Goerlitz here. He is the star of A Billion Lives and the ex-Winston man from the 80s. He's been on a roll, you guys. We're having a great time with him. If you are just tuning in, or you've bopped in halfway through, or you've been here for a while and you haven't heard us mention it, we're having a giveaway. Below this screen, underneath this video, you will see a link to a giveaway. You guys can enter, and before the end of the show, we're going to randomly draw someone, and you guys will get a $25 gift card. Now, Christine, I think you've got some fun questions left for Dave, don't you?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Quite a few.
So Dave and I have had coffee quite a few times. So, Dave, what is your favorite coffee? Dunkin', Starbucks, Tim Hortons, or other?
Oops, I skipped that one.
That's the first part.
Okay. I would say Dunkin' Donuts.
You would say what? Dunkin' Donuts?
Dunkin', yeah.
America runs on Dunkin'. Okay.
And cream, sugar, or black?
Cream only.
Ooh, okay.
It's good to know. Good to know.
All right, and for the viewers out there, I'm going to bleep in just another minute real quick. For those of you guys who are popping in, I see one or two new names. We're here with David Goerlitz and Christine, Beauty and the Vape. And we'd love for you guys to comment underneath this video and let us know if there are any other topics. Today we're doing some serious and silly questions with Dave, but if you guys have any other topics that you'd like us to cover on this show, please comment below this video and let us know, so that in our future shows we can cover exactly what you guys would like to hear about. And be sure to join our Facebook group. I'm going to add the link at the bottom. Be sure to tune in every week at the same time. Now, Dave, I have another question for you. What is your favorite place that you've traveled to, and why?
My favorite place that I traveled to? Mm-hmm. Gosh, I just got up from a world tour last November with A Billion Lives, and I gotta say, I gotta tell you, I love Budapest, Hungary. It sounds straight. I didn't like Istanbul. I hated that.
I was going to say, it wasn't Turkey, though.
It doesn't sound like it was that great of a trip.
I got to Budapest, Hungary, and I thought I died and went to heaven. It was freezing cold. It was very old country, and just castles and the smog and the rivers and the parliament building. I just loved Budapest. And then I went into Norway. Not so much. I liked it. It was too cold. Germany, yeah, it's okay. I'm German descent. But for my wife and I, when we do travel, she's never really traveled outside the country with me, but we went to Florida a lot. I'll probably, hopefully, wind up down south sometime in Florida. But for me, the nicest place to travel would be Budapest, Hungary. And second favorite would be Napa Valley in California, up by Petaluma. I loved it out there, too.
Nice.
Awesome.
I guess we could probably say your least favorite was Turkey.
Yeah, Istanbul.
Istanbul. I guess we could probably figure that one out. Pick that one.
Istanbul. It was horrible. It was so horrible. I mean, people on the street corners with machine guns, and I didn't have a visa. I didn't have any money. I had no cash. I didn't have any language skills, because the crew of A Billion Lives had to get on the plane in Istanbul and leave me there. They didn't have a choice. They had to get to New Delhi for the premiere that was happening down there. You know why they told me I couldn't get on the plane? Because my passport picture was blurry.
It was blurry, yep.
It was an American passport that I paid $200 for. It seemed to work every place but New Delhi, going into New Delhi. They just didn't want me there to cause a ruckus at the World Health Organization when they were trying to get 180 countries to ban vaping in their countries because of the influence of big tobacco. So that's another 2-hour show we can do some other time down the road. But yes, Turkey's my least favorite.
Okay. So,
oh, Oops, sorry, you guys. I just realized that my image was like blocked for a second. I don't know why that happened, but sorry about that. Thanks. That's awesome. I have another one for you, but you kind of answered this question for us, but I'd love to hear if there's any additions to this. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Like, what's the goal? You have this line coming out. You said that you're going to be traveling and trying to do more as far as getting the word out there, and not just advocating, but really fighting a lot of what's going on out there, anti-vaping. But is there anything else you'd like us to know? Next 5 years, any big plans?
What about your personal life?
Yeah, personal plans.
You think you'll still be in Jersey?
My wife and I, we've talked about that. We've looked at a couple adult communities that we want to move to because I can't do a whole lot around. I have a 6-bedroom house. I got a pool. I got a lot of land. I just can't take care of it anymore because life gets in the way and my surgeries and all that. But we need to be near our family, so we're probably not going to go down to Florida right away or North Carolina, which I'd love to go down there. But 5 years. Question. I'm 68, so in 2 years I'll be 73. The other announcement that people need to know is that I've been diagnosed with COPD and emphysema. I was diagnosed 2 years ago in February. I am on Ventolin. I'm on Spiriva. I'm on Symbicort for my inhalers. But I'm doing good since I vape, because 3 of the ingredients that are in my nebulizers are and also in my vaping device.
Wow.
Propylene glycol in the water. The only thing I'm not getting when I vape is my albuterol, which is the medicine for my lungs. I get that through my vaporizers. But I do have COPD and emphysema. There's no question about that it affects me when I work out in my yard or try to shovel snow or go up and down steps. So I think my traveling is going to be okay, as long as I don't have to do a whole lot of running to catch planes and a whole lot of running to be on trains. But I do see myself continuing to raise the level of awareness of vaping proportionate to the benefits that can be, brought in by vaping rather than smoking. So I will go to my grave, and my family knows this, that this is my passion. They're first, my family's first, but my second passion is to try to convince people that when they're ready and they have chosen to look for a new alternative to their addiction to tobacco, can now be a good alternative, and that is to give vaping a good, honest to goodness, 100% effort with a good starter kit and a good flavor and a good e-liquid that's going to make you feel pleased that you made the decision. Because if you give it a fair shot, you get the right amount of throat to lung, mouth to lung hit that you need. Depending upon how you smoked your Chesterfields or your Pall Malls or your non-filters, Lucky Strikes, or your Marlboros, you find something in a tobacco flavor that gives you a nice, easy feeling. And then if you want to, grow into something bigger, a bigger mod, blow bigger clouds, and go for it. But
Right.
to transition over, find something that's affordable, a really good starter kit that you don't have to be an engineer to operate. You just throw in the liquid, find one you like, and that's what I want to continue to be a educator for. I'd rather say educator than advocate, because again, advocate usually implies begging people to do something that they're not able to do themselves, and they are. Every smoker wants to quit. I shouldn't say that. 90% of smokers would quit if they could. You believe that, Tina?
I do actually. Both of my parents smoked for 30 plus years. They were Marlboro people. It was really, a lot. We were a heavy smoking household, ashtrays in the house. And I think, I want to say 2004, after 30 something years, my mom quit cold turkey, which we were all, amazed with. And she went through so much. And I still admire her to this day, watching her come off that addiction on her own. She used like sugar-free gum and stuff to help her get rid of the cravings. But my dad, he was kind of on and off the horse for a few years. And vaping was actually what helped him quit smoking. And so when I actually was considering working for a vaping company and stuff, my dad was like, yeah, it saved my life. You know, like I had started vaping at that point. I had, you know, in college, I had like, you know, my cigarette phase. And he was like, yeah, you know, it saved my life. And to this day, he still says that vaping and moving, he was, you know, it was 2012. So it was the blues, the gas station blues. He'd go pick up and recharge and all that stuff. Right. But he credits it with saving his life. So I really do believe that 90% of smokers out there, they really do want to quit. It's just hard, and it is more addictive than almost anything out there. So I think it's just finding the right resources that people have issues with, that it's like, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. And when you give someone a starter kit.
This kind of a show could be an educator, because again, I don't want to preach to the choir all the time. Your listeners are probably vapors. They probably are aware of what vaping has done for them. But I'm really sick and tired of my government saying that we haven't the proof that says that 9 million people who no longer smoke cigarettes and are vaping are not proof enough. They're just anecdotes? I don't think so. You know, they're not a statistic. We got 9 million vapors. Whether they they smoke it once in a while and they vape, who cares? They are trying to take back their life. They are trying to enhance the quality of their life with something that has been proven scientifically to be better and safer. And now you got people in this country saying, no, we need to eliminate it because it's targeting kids. It's a bunch of bull crap, okay? Yeah. So I can say it, and if I get the right platform and the right radio and TV show, you know, and I really, really love Demetrius, and I really love his smoke-free radio, because I think may have gone on to different tangents because I'm not the same demographic that his show has, and Rush Wishstart and Kevin Bowers and all these other people who have these good shows. It's for their demographic. I am not going to be the end all to every smoker wanting to transition over. But I tell you what, I can reach a 40 to a 70-year-old a hell of a lot better than some 21-year-old kid who's wearing, you know, who's got ear gauges and tattoos.
Cloud blowing.
Yeah. But that's okay for them. And that,
those people can be in their 40s too, you know.
But listen, this is what
you know what I'm saying.
What you're saying, and that's why I love like things like what Christine is doing, because it makes it not only do you have the proof to back it up, but I love, and for those of you guys who are watching, if you haven't seen this before, Christine, my co-host, runs Very Vocal Vapors. It's an organization where she helps people get their message out, and that's what I love about Very Vocal Vapors, that it's like people, you can see their face. It's like you're talking to a legislator. It's not a letter. It's not something written. It's like you can see the face and the emotion. And Christine, actually, why don't you talk a little bit about Very Vocal Vapors for those of our viewers who have not seen the show or maybe haven't heard of it before. I'd love to hear about it once again.
Okay, I mean, I'll do it really quick. So Very Vocal Vapors is a mission. I like to call it a mission that I formed about a year ago. And basically, I take vape stories, I send it to either through a Zoom room. You can book on veryvocalvapors.org. So anytime, take it through a Zoom room like this. So it's just, you know, you and me, very, you know, nothing to be intimidated by, very low key or whatever. Then I'll send that off to your representative. And I think the reason it works, and I also do it also at expos. Where people sit down in the chair, and, you know, it's kind of a whole social media booth at expos. It's a little different atmosphere, but, and the reason that it works, I think, is that because people, they have a voice, they want it to be heard, and as opposed to an advocacy panel where they're being talked at, they're able to participate. And, you know, I'm listening to what they have to say. You know, I have some questions, but I'm listening to what they have to say. And I think it's very important for people to be heard and to know that we care what you have to say. We're not just talking at you. So that's basically what the mission is. And, you know, so far it's been very successful. It's, you know, like I've said, it's expensive. It's really expensive. Dave's seen me, you know, do my work and everything like that. But, you know, if one person gets out of the seat who, again, like David, you had said, you know, advocates are, yes, usually people who help other people. I do consider myself an advocate only because in the sense that Could they do it themselves? Yeah, but you'd be really surprised at how many people sit in my chair and don't have a clue. They have no clue. Right. They don't know. They didn't even know in Connecticut that we had a fight going on with the FDA. They're just like, I just want to vape, bro. You know what I mean? Like they really don't have a clue. So when they get up or after telling their vape story and go, that was awesome. What else can I do? That makes me so happy. Then I'm like, yes.
They're motivated.
The floodgates are now open, you know? So that's yeah.
Let me say something. You know, when I met you, Christine, you're obviously a very unique individual. Okay, you can reach people that I can't, and I can reach people that you can't. But when you get two people like us together, you know, we're like Lucy and Ethel. Okay, you can reach, and then you got young Tina there, you know, who can reach people. Then you got people in their 60s and 70s that go to these vape expos, and they may be a little intimidated by some of the things they see when they go into a vape shop. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's just that my story is different, and everybody that you interview has a story, and that's a big part of the quit smoking success than when they talk about it. Because you know why? Because they did it on their own for themselves, again, without the help of the government or a support group or a grant from anybody telling them, other than the browbeating that they've had for 25 years. You got to quit. You're a loser. You're a leper. You're a pedophile. You're smoking around kids. You're all all these horrible things that we've been, having a target on our backs because we happened to start smoking when we were enticed, encouraged, lured, tricked, and targeted when we were in most cases a teen. So when I talk about people who are different than me, you can reach people that I can't because your appearance is you're a beautiful young lady. You're unique. You have a gift, and I have a gift, and Tina has a gift, and the people that we know who this vaping community has brought together. And there's so many people that I just adore. There's a lot of people I can't stand, okay, but that's okay. You know the people I'm talking about. There's so many people out there who are in it for the wrong reasons. I believe I'm in it for the right reason. I believe you are, and I believe that there's a handful of people who really need to come together, like Kevin Price and Skip Murray and Big Ramsey and lots of wonderful people who I just adore. And Demetrius is one of them, and Phil Bissardo are icons. And we're all friends, okay? And I won't indict or disparage anybody publicly, but I will do things differently than they do because I have a different goal, okay? And I'm sick and tired of the bullseye and the target being on the backs of smokers who are afraid to attempt to find an alternative to help enhance the quality of their life. And if I have to go around, I told Canada, and I'm going to announce this right now too, e-petition 1234, I believe, or 1274 up in Canada, Bill S5, okay, is coming down where it's going to decimate vaping in Canada. We saw it with Bill 44 in Montreal and Quebec. We saw it today, in Ontario. And now S5 is going to come in. I am sick and tired of these people in government trying to now be, moral indignation because we are now allowing people to vape instead of smoke because they're not getting the tax benefits. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm going to raise holy hell with these people, and I'll do it in the way that I feel is going to get me into the doors of Parliament or into the doors of our legislative offices. And I'll stand with Richard Blumenthal because I stood with him for 10 years, shoulder to shoulder, when he was the liar that I know he is. Mm-hmm. And what bitch that these people are. These people who are bad people are not going to allow me to be silenced, okay? They're not going to silence me. And you ask me what I'm doing in the next 5 years, I'm going to raise holy hell with these people. And I'm going to need people like you, Christine and Tina, and anybody else that you can recommend, because I'm going for it. In 2018, that's my year to catapult me into the next 5 years. Again, long answer to a short question. What am I going to do in the next 5 years?
That's what we should name this show.
Long answer to
a short question.
3 years from now, I'll be 71 still talking about this, So
right.
That's good, though. We need more people like that, like you said.
I know. No, it's true.
Listen, I'm going to become the second most interesting man in the world. Okay, are you ready for this? I am. In 2018, I'm going to be like the Dos Equis guy, okay, for vaping. I am going to be the bearded guy, and I'm going to be the second most interesting man in the world because you got to admit, my story is pretty interesting, And
It is interesting, and I think you're more handsome than he is personally. But
Well,
you know,
He's like, well, I was the Winston man.
I think I know, right? I think we should do a couple of like rapid fires.
Yep.
Can you do
Rapid
that?
fire?
We're gonna do some rapid fire silly ones, and then we're gonna get into the meaty stuff for the end of the show.
Okay. Okay.
So if you like, we're gonna test you, David, how quickly you can answer these. Okay. So boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Okay.
Favorite holiday?
Huh?
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Okay. All right. Toilet.
How do you?
paper.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
How do you spoil your grandkids?
I'm sorry, say again?
How do you spoil your grandkids?
I give them anything they want.
All right. All right. Toilet paper roll, over or under?
Over.
Ooh, okay. Over, man. I'm an over person
Over.
myself.
No, I'm an over. I'm an over. What kind of car do you drive, and what kind of car do you wish you drove?
I have a 2016 Jeep Compass, and I have a 2007 Honda Civic. And if I had a choice, I'd be driving a Jeep Wrangler ragtop.
Ooh, Wrangler. Okay. All right. All right. Now, what is your biggest pet peeve besides corrupt politicians?
Right, like something around the house or whatever.
People who abuse children and animals.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a bad.
I don't even know that if that's a pet peeve. That's just
that's a
downright nasty.
I'm all over them like
that's just downright. Right. Do you have a favorite brand of sneakers?
No, I don't wear sneakers.
You don't wear sneakers?
Nope.
Oh, there we go. See, something I didn't know about the man. Tina, you want to go?
Yeah, I have a question. Do you have a daily mantra, words that you live by?
Do I have to say again? I can't hear you.
A daily mantra. Like, is there a daily quote that you live by?
Yeah, I did. I said it to you 3 times, and I say it to me all the time.
That you won't stop fighting?
I am above the opinions that other people have of me, so continue to do what you're doing.
Oh.
Every day I wake up to that. Don't care what people think of me. I don't care what names you call me. Get me face to face, and I'll be able to. I won't fight with you. I won't argue with people, but I really don't care what people think of me. They can love me or hate me, but luckily, most people like me, and there are some people who don't like me, and that's okay too.
I think you're a likable person if it counts.
Well, thank you.
Oh, this is a good one. If you had a walk-in song, and you probably had one at some point because you used to be an actor, but if you had a walk-in song during a movie with the wind blowing in your hair, what would it be?
It's your intro song.
Yeah,
Apocalypse Now.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Apocalypse Now. It's loud and fast and progressive, and there's a crescendo, and that's how I walk into a room. People know when I'm walking in. I walk in not cocky. I just walk in confident with the fact that I am a force to be reckoned with.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, I got one more silly question for you, and then we're going to kind of head into more of the meaty, serious questions about vaping and kind of what we've been talking about already, but a little bit more pointed questions about your personal experience. But what is your favorite antique cigarette ad, other than like a Winston ad, like antique cigarette ad where they make it seem like it's good for you?
Well, that's a good, fair question. My favorite one is the Chesterfield, where a doctor is posing and saying, if you want to live longer, smoke Chesterfield. And I have it on tape. It's a part of my documentary that I'm doing for myself, and it's an ad from the 60s. And I'm telling you, it's if you look at all the ads, like Virginia Slims.
Yeah.
Lucky Strike.
And the other thing would be I'd rather fight than switch, which was Terryton, a guy with a black eye or a woman with a black eye, and said I would rather fight than switch their brand of Terryton. So Those
Wow.
are way before you were even born, Tina. You weren't even a.
I was gonna say I don't even remember those brands. I'm like, and we're not that much older. You know, I think we're like maybe 20 years apart, but like we're not that much.
Well, to be
different.
fair, I did use the word antique, so he's probably going back pretty far. But
he's trying to stump us here.
I was born in 1950, guys, and so between
we're 20 years apart.
Yeah, in 1970 is when they took the ads off of television. Oh. So I had from 1950 to 1970, when I was in high school, from 64 to 68 when I graduated, all we had was cigarette commercials on TV. You know, you've come a long way, baby, for Virginia Slims. I'd rather fight than switch. The Flintstones playing Winston, tastes good like a cigarette should. Fred Flintstone running around. You know, Marlboro Man, the Marlboro music theme song, you know, with the horses through the cut. Yeah, I grew up with that. And in the 80s, when they stopped doing the ads on television, they spent $14 billion a year in images and magazines and billboards to replace the television ads that were no longer allowed to be on TV.
Yeah.
Which is another interesting story. Does anybody, you know why they took ads off of television?
Why?
Either of you ladies know?
I was born in 1970, so I never saw a television ad. So no, I don't know.
Well, the reason why they took the ads off of television not because we slapped their wrists for being naughty people. Okay, they said the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, said that for every 2 minutes of cigarette commercial, the anti-tobacco movement, which was forming then, was going to be allowed 4 minutes of public service announcements disparaging cigarettes. So they didn't want that negative press, so they just took the ads off of television and went in and put it into billboards and more magazine ads that were running. I was in 4 different ads in one magazine one month. I mean, they had 4 different of my ads, different ads. I was in Popular Mechanics and Playboy and Penthouse and Life magazine.
Excuse me.
You know. So yeah, they spent billions and billions of dollars marketing every year to replace the television ads. So those antique ads you're talking about and asking me about, they're fresh in my mind as if they were still running. They were ingrained. They were ingrained in your brain.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. I know that my grandma told me about Lucky Strikes, and I just know that in the commercial they were like, Lucky Strikes, they're good for you. And I was like, oh my God, what? Because, I grew up where it was barely even left in the ads aren't even really in the magazines anymore. If they were, they always had a list of side effects that didn't make it appealing to me when I was a teenager. I was like, oh. But that's crazy.
What you're getting to, let me just say this. I did a tour when I was doing the anti-tobacco movement. I did a tour with the Marlboro Man who died of lung cancer. I did a tour with Rick Bender, who used to chew tobacco when he lost half of his mouth. I did a tour with Janet Sackman, who was the Lucky Strikes lady. Okay, and she now talks with a hole in her throat because she got esophageal cancer. Okay, so we went around to all different states. And we did a tour together of what can happen if you smoke. That was when money started coming in for the anti-tobacco movement and when they were really well-intended. Unfortunately, greed outweighs fear, and they were getting all this money, so they became as corrupt as the big tobacco companies, in my opinion. So I just know that when I talk to people about smoking in my generation and maybe 10, 15 years apart, they understand where I'm coming from. A young lady like yourself, doesn't really remember what we went through in the 60s and 70s with tobacco ads, but you started seeing it happen. You brought it up, not me, and that was your culture was it was always negative. That's the reason why I quit smoking. My kids were coming home from school begging me to quit. You got to quit. My brother's dying of cancer. And that's a part of a billion lives that made me realize that I was important as a resource for the vaping community to use me as an educator, not an advocate, but an educator to change public perception. And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
And we're all here for it, Dave. And we're so happy that you are still here and fighting that good fight. And honestly, I think that I did that too. I mean, even with my mom, who quit after 30 years, it was my brother's college graduation present. And when my dad quit and started vaping, that was my college graduation present. So I was like, so we were like, we don't want anything. We don't want any money. Just quit smoking. And that was enough. And no, but even vaping, my dad needed something to help him to that transition. So Now I'd like to hit you.
I think the only way I'm going to get my mom to quit, because my mom has shown an interest. She just had a stroke this year.
Okay.
She has a lot of other, health issues, but she had a stroke this year. I think I have to get David over the house.
Yes.
To speak to my mother in person. Because
I could do that.
She's tried, but she just can't successfully, she's like, oh, I forgot to plug it in, or oh, this, or oh, that. You know what I mean?
Struggles, yes.
But she went from, oh my God, that's going to kill, walking in the house reeking a cigarette saying, oh my God, that's worse for you than cigarettes, that's going to kill you, to coming home from Arizona and going, I think I want to start vaping, you know? And so I think I need to bring David over to reinforce to her why she needs to, and give her some really good facts, good cold hard facts. So
yes.
I'd be happy and honored to do that anytime you want. I'll make the drive up to Connecticut. You're awesome. In Windsor, right? Are you in Windsor?
Yeah, South Windsor, and we'll make you a nice Italian meal.
There you go. You get your spaghetti right there.
Yep.
All right, guys. So viewers, if you're tuning in or you bopped in halfway through, I'm here with Christine, aka Beauty and the Vape, my lovely co-host, and we have Dave Goerlitz here as our special guest. He was the star of A Billion Lives as well as the Winston Man from the 1980s, and now he is here and he is fighting big tobacco, and we're loving it. He's made a lot of amazing announcements on the show, including his juice line, and his starter kits will be coming out in January 2018. Really, really quality stuff, you guys, so we're really excited about it. If you haven't already, be sure to check the link below this video. We're having a giveaway, and at 7:40, so roughly 7:40 my time, 10:40 your guys' time, next 13 minutes or so, I'm going to go ahead and randomly select the winner, and you guys, the winner will receive a $25 gift card to ejuices.com, so you can pick an e-juice of your choice and shop. So I would love to ask you a question, Dave, on a more serious note. I know that you say that you don't care about anyone's opinion of you now, and I think that that's amazing. I honestly wish more people were like that. But how was it when you were in it, when you were going from the golden boy of cigarettes, and then you were becoming the golden boy of the anti-tobacco campaign? What were your feelings then? I mean, it must have been extremely intimidated to take on, like I said, such a titan of an industry like tobacco. What were your thoughts then? I mean, how old were you when you really decided that you wanted to make that switch? And what were the emotions that you were going through at that time? Because that has to be very scary, going up against big tobacco.
Yeah, well, here's the thumbnail story. I started smoking at 13. And it became the Winston Man after I lost a lot of weight and was a model. Then I became a stunt man for Harrison Ford. I don't know if you know who he is. You remember Harrison Ford?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. How could I?
Okay. Christine, you remember Harrison?
Sure do.
Okay, well,
she's waving herself off.
You gotta remember. I was this little fat, cross-eyed, bedwetting kid till I was 14. Okay, I wet the bed till I was 14. I wore glasses from the time I was 2 years old. When I lost 75 pounds and I became a model at the age of 30, I lost 75 pounds and I became I did it with no pills. I did it with no personal trainer back in 1970.
And at the age of 30, that's late.
Yeah, that is
very late. So you got to remember, I had already had 2 kids, and third one on the way. And now I'm making $100,000 a year. Back in the 80s, that's a lot of money back in the 80s.
Yeah.
$100,000 a year, good money. And all I had to do was work 26 days a year to do the ads. So that's not a hard job, especially when you love doing it. So that's a fair question that you're asking me, Tina, because my emotions were, how do I turn my back on big tobacco and the ads that they let me do for 8 years? I was their lead model from the beginning to the end. I was the longest running, ad model for tobacco, even more than the Marlboro Man. I'm not proud of that. I'm just saying it gave me the responsibility to take my job serious, because I said, remember I told you, my dad told me, you don't have to be the best, but whatever you do it with integrity.
Yes.
I became the best damn Winston Man RJ Reynolds ever had. Okay. And I was really good at it. If you look at my ads, I had 48 ads that ran, on billboards and in magazines, and I went from being this macho, rugged, virile, robust individual to now the 68-year-old COPD and emphysema-ridden guy, just like the Marlboro Man. So But back in the
But you're alive.
19 huh?
I said, but you're alive.
Yeah, in 1988. Okay, to answer your question, my kids had been coming home from school begging me to quit, just like you probably begged your parents. Okay, and my brother was dying of cancer, as you know, from A Billion Lives. I told that story. So I had to make a decision because at 38, I'm still not feeling the effects of 20 years of smoking or 25 years because I was still macho. I was young. I was still trying to do the acting, and I was still doing commercials, and I was still doing runway, and I was doing a lot of different things. If you know my story, well, I came home from visiting my brother who was dying of cancer, and my son begged me to quit, and I promised him that I was going to quit in 1988. So it was a big move for me to say, you know what, Kevin, that's my boy's name, and my girls and my wife, I'm going to quit smoking. And it was the hardest thing I ever did. It was so hard. I agonized and I cried myself to sleep thinking that I can't do this. I love smoking so much. I'm being paid all this money feeding my family. So my emotions were that I had to do something for my family that was more important than for myself, because I was starting to see what it did to my brother and to a lot of my friends who were smoking for a lot longer than I. So I had this epiphany. I had this, wham moment, okay? And the moment that I had was, you got to quit. You have to quit. You need to quit, and you've got to find a way to do it. So I quit smoking publicly November 18th, 1988. And I lasted about, a few weeks until I started cheating, because smokers quit and cheat and quit and cheat and quit and cheat. But when I went public and quit smoking, RJ Reynolds no longer wanted to have me down for lunch. They didn't want to call anymore. They were really pissed off, okay? Because I didn't look at the long-term effect of what I was doing. I was their brand ambassador for 8 years on a product that's killing 400,000 people a year. And I had to take that initiative seriously, and I did. So the truth of the matter is I got threatened. I had to move my family out of town after I quit smoking. My car caught fire in the driveway. We're talking about a real issue that I had to take seriously, because now it's affecting my family. And this is all stuff this is all public information. I just don't talk about it a lot because people are saying, oh, you're just paranoid. No, I wasn't paranoid. I was taking a multi-billion-dollar industry and trying to bring it to its knees. And I was doing it without even trying, because no one had ever done what I had done before. Okay. The Marlboro Man, of course, died, but I'm still alive to talk about it. And that was in 1988. So from that point on, I had to take my job seriously as an anti-smoking activist, not an anti-smoker, okay, because I didn't go up to people and rip cigarettes out of their mouths. I, like my dad, I didn't judge. If somebody wanted to know how I did it, I told them it was the hardest thing I ever did. And that's why I'm so passionate about vaping, because I didn't have that. That's why I quit and cheated and quit and cheated and quit and cheated, because we didn't have alternatives like we have now. And vaping has proven to the people that I love and care about to be the best alternative as a concept to quit smoking. And that's why I am so excited about being a part of an industry, even if it's my own industry part of, because I'm not a part of the team. I'm not a member of the team. I'm not an inner circle resource.
We're not one of the cool kids, David.
The cool kid. I was never a cool kid in high school either, So I decided that I'm going to do this on my own. And like I said, no indictment against SFATA or CASA or ABA or VTA or NBS. Let them do what they have to do. But when ABA can go out and get a crowdfunding for a couple $100,000 and get a bus to go across the country for a Right to Vape tour, and they only get to see about 1,000 people, I think that's money not well spent, okay? When I see these conventions, and this is going to be a bullseye on somebody, I see all of these conventions where people are spending tens of thousands of dollars for a booth and for bar tabs and travel and hotels and partying, which is fine. That's a part of the culture. I know that. But when you have groups that are begging for money to not only hire a lobbyist, even though I don't think the lobbyist is doing their jobs, okay, I think there's a better way to spend money in educating the public, because as I said, we will never change policy until we change public perception. And we're not reaching the public by doing what we're doing. We are only reaching the choir, which are already vaping, selling better juices and better mods and expensive mods and better coils and we're finding ways to be more educated in vaping because it is something that consumers did on their own without any help. So they have the initiative and they have the right to have bragging rights for being the best, possible device that they're making. And I don't have a problem with that. If you want to spend $800 for a mod, you want to spend, $1,000 a month for different liquids so you can blow clouds and go through 60 mils every 2 days or whatever, fine. But if you want to vape 3 milligrams or 18 milligrams of nicotine, that's up to you.
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Just don't smoke cigarettes. Just don't smoke cigarettes. Find something that works for you. And that's what I want to be an educator for. And everybody at Safana and CASA and ABA knows that. They know me. They just don't. I don't have the same core mission that they have. My core mission is to reach a smoker. Their core mission is to save vaping for the community that has already found that it's worth billions of dollars. And again, fine for them. I just have a different, mission and a core mission coming from my gut.
Yeah. And that's what, just quickly too, I mean, not to, that's kind of like very vocal vapors too. It's like, we don't care what you vape on as long as you're vaping. And if you're a dual user, there's zero judgments. If you're a dual user, that's, how many less cigarettes a day you're smoking. So everybody don't care. Everybody is welcome. And even if you're smoking and thinking of vaping, still sit down. Let's talk about it.
Yep.
Education and talking to people is so super important. It's the most important thing you can do.
Don't make crappy labels. And don't make crappy labels that entice and
God,
lure teens.
yes.
That goes without saying. That's not right. And the people I know at Safana and CASA and ABA, and I keep saying though, because those are the 5 core groups out there that, it's consumer industry organizers and trade associations. They're all great people. I will never disparage them. I don't agree with them all the time. They don't agree with me. Okay. And Demetrius and I was on Demetrius' show several times. And one time somebody said, well, how come you don't do more? And Demetrius said, well, Dave's a loose cannon. Well, I am a loose cannon, and because you're not going to put a bit in my mouth and you're not going to put a harness on me and ride me around like a pony. I'm going to say what I have to say. And when I find the right group to really get involved with, which is what I believe in THR for Life, which is, tobacco harm reduction, and Kevin Price and Kevin Crowley and Skip Murray and Lindsay Stroud and Jenny Hope, these are people that I trust. Kevin Crowley, especially, and Kevin Price. Okay. Now I got Bill Tarling up in Canada. I am so angry with what's happening in Canada. I am so angry that they are decimating an industry because of politics. And they didn't want me to come up to Canada for the Toronto protest. And I'm announcing that tonight too. They had a protest at the Queen's Park 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, trying to get them to remove Section 3 of Bill 174 that was going to kill vaping in Ontario. And I was offered to come up to help, but I was told I wasn't Canadian enough, because I didn't have. Because I'm not
what
Canadian.
Does that even
they thought
mean?
They didn't know how to use me as a resource. Okay, so they got angry because I said to them, well, why didn't you want me up there? Well, because I wasn't Canadian enough, and the woman that was, she was organizing, very wonderful lady. She just didn't think that it was I should come in there and muddy up the waters when it's a voting process of the Canadians and I wasn't Canadian. I understand that, but I'm a resource to help because my story also gets people to listen, like the Parliament, up there and the members of Parliament in Canada who could vote on this. And they lost today 63 to 27 or something. And now Bill 174 is passed, and now you won't be able to vape in Ontario. You won't be able to get flavors. You won't even be able to sell them, talk about them at your store. You have to have blackened windows.
Yeah. I was watching part of that documentary that you started, right?
That was in Quebec. I did that 2 months ago.
Okay. I was watching that. That was crazy.
Bill 44, and now 174 in Ontario is even worse.
Wow.
Even worse. And now you got groups up there that are fighting for vapors, and they're not really fighting for vapors. They're fighting for the cannabis market, which is going to be hitting really fast with legalization of marijuana or cannabis in Canada as of July 1st of 2018. So there's a lot of politics being played up there. So I don't play well with others. You know, I don't get along with others. They like me and I like them, but I'm going to say what I say publicly. And sometimes it doesn't fit their bill and they don't want me to be a part of their mucking things up. Okay, but I got to do what I have to do.
Yeah, it's really hard to hold a mirror up to someone's face. And sometimes it's hard for us to have a mirror held up in front of our face. We don't, we're human beings, we make mistakes. And, like I said, I'm not, what astounds me the most, and David, you can probably, expand on this quickly, but what astounds me the most is that these representatives, they've been affected by smoking related illnesses. They have a family member that has died or is dying, and how they can still vote and say the things they say and believe the things they believe and lay their head on their pillows at night just boggles my mind. It's something I just cannot wrap my head around, that you've probably watched somebody, I watched my aunt die of COPD and she was scared. She was so scared, I watched her take her last breath. It was horrible. And these people have been affected. Yeah. So how can you be affected that way and then get up and put this facade on, and spout what you spout? It's just, it drives me crazy.
I'm going to go ahead, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put a pause real quick, and I'm going to announce the giveaway winner, and then I'd love to keep talking about this. So I'm going to, everybody out there.
Listen, I have to step away for 2 minutes, okay? Is that all right?
That's totally fine, absolutely.
Come right back.
We'll do the giveaway. You guys, we have David Goerlitz, who's about to come back. He's stepping away for a minute, and we are going to announce the giveaway winners. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm here with my lovely co-host, Christine, a.k.a. Beauty and the Vape. And we have Dave Goerlitz, the star of A Billion Lives, as well as the ex-Winston man from the 80s, here today. He stepped away for a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and announce the giveaway winner to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and randomly select it on this little widget that you guys use to enter, and I will announce the name, and then after the show, I'm going to go ahead and reach out to the winner. I'll ask you for your email, and we'll send you guys, or whoever the winner is, you person, man or woman, will receive a $25 gift card to ejuices.com. So, drum roll. Let's see. It's coming. It's taking forever to keep the drum roll going. All right, ready? We're going to select a winner, and our winner is Amanda XOXO. Congratulations, nice. Amanda. You are our winner, and I know you were waiting patiently, so congratulations, Amanda. Go ahead and shoot me an email right now at ejuicescom@gmail.com, and I'll go ahead once I have your email and send you that $25 gift card. I know that you were trying to buy your coils and stuff. Yep, I see your peep eyes right now. So be sure to email me. All right, again, that's ejuicescom@gmail.com. Go ahead and email me, and I will send you that gift card ASAP right after the show tonight. So, Christine, how are you? Since Dave's on his way, how have you been? How's everything going?
Everything is good. This has been a great show.
I know.
For those of you who missed the beginning or came in late, I really suggest you guys watch the replay, because we asked some really funny questions, and out of the ordinary questions, I know Dave has been on a lot of shows, and people ask the same questions, and those questions are super important. But it was fun to get a little more personal on the personal side with David and ask him some, silly questions and, get those answers. So I highly suggest that you watch the replay if you have not. And please post under the comments when you do watch the replay any other topics that you would like for us to cover on, upcoming shows. And join the Facebook group, ejuices.com live. We take polls in there also, and we talk about different things, and so we can get ideas on what you guys want to see, because that's really what we want this show to be about, is about what you guys want to see.
Yes. So now that we're winding down and wrapping up, really, I would just love to hear, Dave, if you have any closing comments for all of the people who are watching right now. We've had a lot of really, really good conversations tonight, ranging from your personal announcements. And for those of you who hadn't heard, Dave is coming out with a juice line. It's going to be very clean, premium. We're so excited for it. And it's to help kind of the people who are not trying to look for the advanced vape stuff, but the people who are moving from smoking into vaping. So do you have any other message that you'd like to tell everyone who's watching tonight? Any closing comments other than everything that we've already discussed, or anything you'd like to reiterate?
Well, I have to talk a little bit lighter here because my wife just came out and said I'm very loud. So I apologize. I'm very loud. And apparently I'm keeping my grandkids awake in the bedroom there. So I'm going to lower. Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
What I want to say, and I know these 2 hours went like really fast, and that's what happens when you're passionate about something and you believe in what you're doing, as I know you do, and I know for sure Christine does. You can't trailblaze without setting some fires. I understand that. And there's so many distractions in this world right now with illegal immigration and the Trump haters and the wildfires in California and the snowstorms and blizzards. You know, every day there's another distraction with sexual harassment. And so we never really get the right information out to people when they're ready to receive it, because there's so much sadness in the world. Life gets in the way, you know, but Christine hit the nail on the head. How can these legislators and lawmakers stand there with a straight face when they probably have a relative, a spouse, a son, or a daughter, a parent who died of a smoking-caused illness and not do anything, okay? You know, nothing's 100% safe, okay? No one's saying that vaping is 100% safe. But if I'm in a burning building, I would rather jump from the second story than the 40th story, okay? Because the chances are so much better that at least you have an option, okay? And then, of course, in an ideal world, wouldn't it be nice if no kids smoked, no kids drank, no kids had sex, no kids did drugs? Wouldn't it be wonderful?
It'd be wonderful. It just wouldn't happen.
No opiate epidemic and no sexual harassment of women or sexual harassment of men. Wouldn't it be wonderful in an ideal world? We don't live in that world. We live in a world where kids are going to be kids. They're going to experiment. They're going to try to do things that grown-ups are doing because their whole life they have been told to grow up, be mature, be responsible. And then we say, don't smoke until you're grown up, mature, and responsible. So this becomes their automatic gateway. And this is when I want to reach the 42 million smokers who trust me because I'm walking the walk. I do vape. I vape zero nicotine because there's no reason for me to go into 3, 6, 18 or whatever. But I do know that a smoker who is struggling and wants to quit should be given the opportunity with open arms from their government by saying, we're going to help you by making it easier for you rather than harder. Smokers need less stress in their life and not more. So I'm going to trailblaze. I'm going to set fires. I'm going to piss people off. I'm going to get people angry with me, but I don't care because I'm going to give them an opportunity with my name, my reputation, the little bit of celebrity that I have, by vaping a liquid that I have tested and proven, and I know for a fact it's going to meet the criteria that a smoker needs as he or she transitions over to an alternative in the concept of vaping, which is so much better. And you just do the math. So I just want to say that I'm grateful for being on your show, and I wish you tremendous success, and I'll do anything I can do to help promote what you're doing so I can get my word out, and along with Christine. And I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you folks anytime, 24/7. So in closing, I just thank you for letting me be a part of what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Dave. We really appreciate it. You're so genuine and you're so passionate about what you do. And we are so honored to have you on the show and to have you make all of the announcement that you made on our show. So we're ready. We're here to stand shoulder to shoulder with you in that fight. That's what we're here for. And I think that that's why the vaping community is so strong and as amazing as it is, because we are all in the same boat. So thank you so much. And thank you, Christine, for being, once again, an amazing, amazing co-host. I have so much fun doing these shows with you.
It's a blast.
I'm going to go ahead and stay on chat with you guys after we get off the show. Just talk a little bit. But all of you guys out there watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to smash that like button and be sure to make sure that you join our group on Facebook. It's called ejuices.com live. And everyone, thank Dave for being such an amazing guest. And make sure to watch A Billion Lives. It's on Amazon, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. See you next time. Same time next week.